gonna be a bumpy walk.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up or something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
What's up, boys and girls? Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. You can find us on Rumble, Rockfin, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, all of the places where you can watch podcasts. Some gigs coming up. Hope everybody had a nice Easter or spring break or whatever you're doing right now. Got some shows coming up. I'm heading to Vegas in a couple of weeks. We got the Geeks and Gamers Friday Night Tights meetup on Wednesday, April 26th at the Millennium Fandom Bar. Then we got my headlining show at the Space the following day, Thursday, April 27th at 7 o'clock. Get your tickets. We're probably going to add a late show. So if you're more of a night owl, you can hold out for the 10 o'clock show, which we'll probably add in a couple of days. Then I'll be in Dallas, Texas the following week, making some appearances at the Blaze during the week. And then I'll be at Hyenas in Dallas Friday, May 5th and Saturday, May 6th. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday with Lila Hart and Keanu Thompson. They will be with me in Vegas as well. Then we got Richmond, Virginia. I'm headlining the Sandman Comedy Club Wednesday, August 9th. Anime Matsuri in August. That's the 10th through the 13th in Houston. And I'm headlining that same weekend, Friday, August 11th at the Secret Group. Get your tickets if you know you're going to be at Anime Matsuri. Come hang out. Come hang out with us. Come hang out with Simpcast. We got to figure out who is coming, but it's going to be a great hang. A lot of YouTubers go to Anime Matsuri. I've never been, so I'm excited to go. I think that's it as far as announcements go. I just did a really wonderful interview with George Papadopoulos earlier today, the author of the Deep State Target book that I haven't finished reading, but I will. Check it out. It's on all the things. But yeah, I can't wait to bring in our lovely guest. She's a content creator. She's here. She's there. She's everywhere. TikTok, OnlyFans. She's crushing it. Kelly Cadigan, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for getting dressed and turning on your computer.
Yeah, of course.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great that we can just some people don't put on pants and do this show, but I think Vic learned his lesson. So Kelly, if you guys don't know Kelly, she's a trans content creator who doesn't kind of fall in line with what you would, I guess, be a typical trans content creator, which means you're against pushing hormones on minors, you're against surgeries on things that are all, common sense. But when someone like yourself is outspoken about it, your own kind of community goes after you. And if you've experienced a ton of bullying and mass reporting on TikTok, I don't know if it happens as much on Instagram or YouTube, but you just get reported for having different opinions in a community that's supposedly super inclusive. I think we're all learning that it's maybe not the most inclusive community. So I just want to get a sense, Kelly, of how you kind of, and I'm sure you've answered this question a million times about your kind of transition journey, but I just want to know how you kind of came to be a content creator and I guess your overall kind of origin story.
Yeah, in terms of when I started making videos, I was probably I would probably say I was around like 15. Yeah, it was the beginning of my transition. I was really inspired by creators like Blair White, who were conservative, and she is a transgender woman. And one of my first YouTube videos was that there were only two genders. That was the title, and that was a kind of a controversial take at the time. This was during like the period where this was like a really hot debate, even more so than it is now. Um, and yeah, so I've always had more conservative views. I've always loved enjoying or enjoyed making content. My YouTube stuff never really took off, so I kind of just stopped after less than a year of making videos. And then eventually TikTok came around and I got on that and I just started making just silly, stupid videos about being trans. My catchphrase was still hot though. So I would basically just go around on the internet and troll around and just basically say that I didn't care about my DNA. And I always kind of acknowledged that in the beginning. I kind of almost showed my conservative views in the beginning stages of TikTok. And then I slowly started to realize how PC and left the website is and how I kind of started feeling forced to say things that I didn't believe in because I felt like if I didn't, I was going to lose my career and my platform. And it really started to feel like I was selling my soul. So just now recently, I started speaking about how I truly felt. And I had done that in the past and had always gotten a super negative reaction. And for the first time, I'm sure you've seen it, the car video that got like 4 million views. It had such a positive reaction from people that it really inspired me to want to speak out and start creating more conservative content, which is what I've been doing now. Because I haven't felt censored lately. I thought that, TikTok would ban a lot of my videos like they used to. And lately, the videos have been staying up. And it seems like a lot of the comments do agree with me, especially when it comes to what I'm saying about children and minors transitioning. So yeah, that's kind of like how I got started and how I ended up to where I am today.
So this is your TikTok page, Kelly, and I'm like basically a boomer when it comes to TikTok because I have an account. I just like, don't go on it, and I spend a lot of time talking shit about TikTok. Yet here I am. I'm constantly playing videos from it. The car video that you mentioned that got 4 million views, is that the same one that you think sort of initially blew you up and got you the most
Kind of.
attention?
I would say that one, definitely that one right there, second on the top of the row. That was the car video I think I was referring to, but it was
Okay,
definitely
this one.
a video, right? And there was a video I privated. I actually privated it today just because it wasn't that I didn't agree with the message of the video. It was just that after reading TikTok's guidelines, I thought I could have been reported for
Oh
posting it.
wow.
So I decided to private it. But the original video that really blew up this whole controversy was me saying that we shouldn't respect the school shooter's pronouns. Because obviously there was a tragedy that just happened in Tennessee. It was a school shooting, and a lot of trans activists on TikTok were saying, oh, don't respect the tragedy, but, respect their pronouns, because if you disrespect the shooter's pronouns, you're disrespecting all trans people. I
Oh
didn't agree
God,
with
how
that.
dramatic.
Absolutely. And I'm just like, listen, to me, that there's always been a difference between gender and sex. And I just feel like when you commit a mass shooting, especially on children, I don't see you as anything more than your biology after that. I don't even see you as a person. You think I'm going to recognize your gender identity? No, absolutely not. So I made a video saying, no, this person it shouldn't be gendered correctly. They should be called by their biology, not their preferred pronouns. And that got a lot of hate. But that video almost got to like 1 million views. But I privated it, like I said.
Oh man. Okay. So was this the one that you referred to about okay, let's see. This is not the one you privated obviously because we can't see it. But
Right.
and yeah, it's unbelievable. Like someone commits a mass shooting, like let's respect them. It's like, no. They've not behaved in a way that warrants anybody's respect. So let's just calm down right here. And so this is
Absolutely.
the video. Okay, this one got 3.8 million. This you think was the one that probably blew you up, I guess, the
Right.
most.
It definitely did. It was that video and probably the Naomi debate also got a bit of attention for different reasons. But yeah, it was definitely a combination of those two videos.
I'm gonna play this one just if you guys are not
So in
familiar.
America, we have this thing called freedom of speech. No one has to respect my pronouns. If I'm walking down the road and someone wants to call me he, him, I might be upset about it, but there's nothing I can do about it because that's people's First Amendment right. I've done my entire entire transition. I've been on HRT. I've had 2 different breast augmentations. I've
Oh, the internet.
had the literal surgery. I have female anatomy, or at least the closest thing I can get to female anatomy. If I'm not offended, why does it seem like so many people in the community, particularly the non-binary community, are offended? Is it because a lot of you guys, the only transition that's taking place really is your pronouns? Is it because you take it so personally? Because to me, my transition and who I am is a lot more than my pronouns. It's a lot more than someone just calling me she, her. If someone calls me he, him, I'm still Kelly. I still feel like myself. I don't need a pronoun to define my entire existence. I don't need to use a pronoun and respect someone who unalived innocent children to feel like, oh, well, I'm doing it for the greater good of the community. If anything, you're bringing the community down.
That's a really good point you made, Kelly. You're like, my transition is about me, how I feel. I want to feel more comfortable in my own skin. So these are the surgeries that I want to have. This is how I want to look to feel better. And that's always how it used to be. I mean, the first trans person I ever met was in my improv group, probably in the early, probably it's like maybe like 2008 or something. And it was very much something like she kept to herself, and all she really wanted was to pass. But again, there's something about really after Caitlyn Jenner came out, it became this very public thing that corporations could really push on their employees, that money could be made. Also, Big Pharma realized how much money they could make. But I like your point that it really should be personal and about you. And if someone calls you a dude, it doesn't even affect you because you're living your life how you want to live. And honestly, what is it anybody else's business? What you kind of like to do with yourself. It's just crazy, like that you'll get hate just because you're not kind of falling in line with the. It's very ballsy. I mean, it's very ballsy what you're doing because it's a really hard position to be in. You're an outspoken trans person, and you really do kind of leave yourself vulnerable for all this hate. And I'm sure you know that you wouldn't still be on social media if you couldn't handle it. But I know I respect your kind of not giving a fuck.
Yeah, no, I
Which is exactly
appreciate
what
it. Oh, sorry.
I think the trans visibility movement did. Because if you really think about it, you guys, back before like people knew what it was to be trans, before Caitlyn Jenner came out, it meant a lot more when a child would say, oh, I feel like I'm the other gender, because they didn't know what it meant to be trans. So it actually wasn't something that was just taught to them, right? They didn't just pick it up, hear it somewhere, and then think, oh, I want that label, and then they're going to make a huge life mistake. If you want to call me a conservative, call me a conservative. I believe in protecting children. I believe in not respecting child unalivers. And I believe people that make transitions should go through a lot of therapy and make sure it's right for them before they jump into this. And they should be over the age of 18, honestly. And I'm saying that as someone who transitioned at 15. I truly feel like, legally speaking, the age in this country that you can consent to medication is 18 years of age. I feel like that's how it should be for HRT. Now, I'm not saying you can't experiment with like clothing when you're younger. I don't see the harm in that. But like, honestly, I'm very lucky to not regret the decision I made at 15 years old, right? I'm very lucky to be happy with where I'm at. Not everyone feels that way. That's why we see so many videos of people detransitioning lately, because kids are being fed this stuff, thinking they're transitioning, and then having regrets. And then they aren't able to get out of the body because of the permanent changes that hormones create. No one, like, I'm trying to protect people, and you guys are making me look like I'm a monster.
Do people call you a hypocrite because you transitioned at 15 and you're saying, I don't want kids to transition until they're 18?
So I get it on the daily. Like, so many people, it's like they don't actually watch the video or listen to what I'm saying. Because to me, when I watch that back, it's so clear that I'm saying, yes, I understand I had the privilege to transition as a minor, but I'm stating that I'm lucky to not regret those choices. That we have seen so many videos of people who are in awful situations, in bodies that they're never going to be able to get out of, especially transgender men who have been on T for like just like 2 months of even being on that stuff and like getting off of it. Your voice is never going to go back to being feminine. There is no surgery, no amount of money to make those changes ever go away. So I don't know. I don't think people understand. They either want to take it the way you're saying or that I'm saying I regret my transition. And it's neither of the two. And just trying to prevent future tragedies. Because at the end of the day, someone transitioning after 18, yes, it may be harder for them to pass, but at least they could get facial feminization surgery. They can get opportunities in the future to eventually pass. Someone that makes the decision as a minor has these permanent changes and they have things they can't even fix with any surgery at all. It's just forever. That's, I don't know, to me, I feel like it's obvious what the answer should be. And it should be that everyone should make these choices after they're 18. That's what's going to be the best for everyone. It's affecting the children. I don't know why we're teaching them this stuff in schools either, because it's just making them think that they are actually trans when they're probably not. And it's going to create more detransitioners as well. I think we just have so much going on in this country right now that's not good for our youth, and people need to start speaking up about it.
How did you know that you wanted to transition?
Honestly, so it took me a really long time to accept my sexuality, just because I grew up in a time where people were calling things that were done gay. Like I saw being gay as like a really bad thing. So I didn't accept that until I was like maybe 14, and I started realizing that a lot of my gay friends didn't want to be women. Because at the time, I just assumed all feminine gay men wanted to be women, constantly lived in jealousy of women. And that wasn't true. I guess it was just me at the time. The only things that my gay friends related to me to was having like straight crushes, but like they never wanted to wear female clothing. They never wanted to, go by a female name, have soft skin, have female sex characteristics. Like they never were seeking those things or wishing they could like wake up in the opposite gender's body. So with that information, and when I found out what it meant to be transgender, which I will admit I did find out through YouTube, I saw a content creator named Gigi Gorgeous. She was one of the first
I know
trans
her.
creators.
Yeah.
So I discovered what it meant to be trans through her channel. And once I put those two things together, talking to my gay friends and realizing I'm not the same as them, then finding out what it meant to be trans, I was like, shit, I think that's me. And that was a decision I made at 15. And, kids are spontaneous. I could have made that decision and I could have hated my life right now, and regretted everything. And there would be nothing I could do about it. So I'm happy with where I'm at. And I'm so glad I made the decisions I made. But I still, I don't know if I think if any kid at the age of 15 feels the way I did, I really think the best thing to do is just wait until you're 18, because a transition, especially in high school and when you're that young, it can be a lot mentally. Even if you are actually trans.
Did your classmates know? I imagine that they were probably, I don't know. Kids are cruel, even when you're not transitioning. Did they know? Did you take time off? Like, what was that process like? Because that's how old we're what, like 9th grade, 10th grade?
So I believe freshman year, when I was 14, I was male presenting the entire time. When I got back from Christmas break, I believe, of my sophomore year, so like coming back that like first week of January, that was when I wore makeup to school and I started wearing more feminine presenting clothing. And you have to understand, I feel like the generation now is so woke that the kids in school are being accepted by everyone. And I feel like the generation before me was like what you're saying, very like hard on bullying people, even people that were gay, let alone trans. I grew up in that really weird middle point where no one would make fun of you or bully you, but you also weren't accepted either. I felt really lonely throughout my high school experience. I felt like I was isolated from everyone. I felt like people would be nice to my face, but then I would never, be invited to anything or asked to like hang out after school, or even like, if there was like partners that needed to be pegged, no one would ever want me on their team, or just little things like that. I never felt like I fit in or I had like a real social life. So I wasn't bullied. I was just outcasted.
Do you feel like that was part of why you got into making videos? How old were you when you started making videos?
So, I mean, I think there was a time a real long time ago when I was like 9 or 10 and like I wanted to just like I would film like stupid stuff on my iPod Touch and upload it to YouTube. I don't know where those videos are, but I would make like puppets and stuff and try to do like stupid like comedy videos. Those never really went anywhere. But I've always wanted to be a content creator since like day one. I grew up in the era of social media. You know, you asked every kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like everyone would be like, I want to be a YouTuber.
That's
So, you know,
you, yeah.
that was what I've always wanted. I've always said, like, I hate admitting that because I feel like people use it to stereotype me and go, oh, see, she's trans and she likes attention. She's an attention seeker for being trans. And it's like, they're so separate. Like, you know, my transition is one thing, but it has nothing to do with how much I love attention and being on social media and like, you know, speaking my truth and creating chaos. Like, I love it. I love debating with people and talking and having conversations and
Are you a
having
Gemini?
people who like to follow me. I'm not. I'm an Aquarius.
Okay. Darn it.
But
I
it's
had
a
a
lot of
1 out of
fun.
12 shot.
What are you?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Okay.
But my Aquarius moon keeps me from being super, super Scorpio.
I'm not like super into like astrology, so I don't know like a
okay.
ton.
It
But I
shouldn't.
know like Scorpios are supposed to be a little feisty, right?
We're like moody, brooding. We can get very depressed. But I think that's just all people. I don't know. I think I just was like, oh, this would be really cool if I'm right. That's so interesting though, because it's so easy for people to call you a hypocrite. Oh, look, you transitioned at 15. You don't regret it. Do you want to rob other kids from the ability to transition sooner and be happier? And I don't know. It's just so I don't think anyone has any problem with people transitioning. It's like when it was started to be pushed on kids and they're just
Right.
propaganda sort of everywhere, and surgeries should not, I mean, yeah, nothing to do with transitioning. Surgeries, tattoos, whatever, none of that should be a solution to just your awkward middle school, high school years. Like it's called like that's just the time you're awkward. So it's crazy. But you get a ton of hate. You get a ton of hate and you're constantly getting bullied and mass reported. So this was like you're up to now on TikTok 20 million likes, 808,000 followers, and you're able to make your whole living from that and OnlyFans. What were you was that always your job, or did you have any job before you went full time?
So my only job before TikTok was I worked at a fast food restaurant. And I had done that since I was like, I think I started at like 14. Maybe it was early 15. I can't even remember. But yeah, I quit that job once I started OnlyFans. I've never really made money through TikTok just because I heard that when you join the creator fund, it makes it so your views go down. And I always knew I made way more money through getting views and attraction to my adult pages than I did through getting paid by TikTok itself. So I only really make money through going live on TikTok. But yeah, OnlyFans has kept me afloat for like God, I started in what, like I think like 2020 was when I started. So it's been like almost 3 years now. Everyone's always like, oh, it's never gonna last. And it's like, it's stayed pretty consistent for me, you know, but I also stay on top of it. I have like a schedule and I'm constantly trying to create new content. So yeah.
Yeah, you can't just post whenever you feel like it. It has to be like kind of it sounds like you're treating it like a 9 to 5 and you have to dedicate a certain amount of time to, messaging people back and all that.
Oh, I don't do that. I don't message
No.
anyone back. No, I just post my content. I post my pictures and then I post a video of it. And I'm like, if you want to pay to unlock the video, pay to unlock the video. And that's that.
Yeah. You said this was a video I watched that you did a while ago, but you said you felt pressure to like do more. What does that mean? Are these messages? Are these just people reaching out to you? Are you getting certain requests, or where does that pressure come from?
Do you mean like on OF?
It was for on OnlyFans.
I felt so there was a point in time where I did do a couple videos because my whole usual thing on OF since day one has been I have an outfit. I'll like take pictures of myself taking off that outfit. I'll give you like a set of like 12 pictures of the outfit slowly coming off completely. And then I'll do a video on the side where I'll take off that outfit and then like a 3-4 minute video. And you can pay to unlock that. It's extra because it's a vid. And then that's just what I've always done. And it got to a point where people would really want to pressure me to do more because you always get comments like, oh, this is boring. It's getting old. And I did a few videos that I regret doing that, like I did something a little further. Luckily, it was before my bottom surgery, so I don't now that I don't have that part anymore, it doesn't really have an effect on me because it just doesn't even feel like it's a part of me anymore. But I definitely wish I never even took it further because a lot of like the content what people don't tell you when you start OF is you're going to have a lot of people who want you to do a lot of things, who are going to want to pressure you to make certain types of videos, or, oh, we're going to leave, we're not going to support you. And the reality is you kind of just have to ignore those comments because if you just stay consistent in what you do, you're going to have people who want to support you and who just like what you do and they stick with it and they enjoy quote unquote taking care of you. So my biggest piece of advice would be to anyone that's doing OF, do not feel pressured to do anything more than you want to do. Even if you don't even want to do full nudity and you just want to do like lingerie pics, do whatever makes you feel comfortable because you're going to make money regardless. You don't have to push yourself in your boundaries.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, every once in a while I'll have a friend be like, you have to get on OnlyFans. You could make like $5,000, $10,000 a month. I'm just like, I feel like it could get to be a very slippery slope to where I could be very easily convinced. So I just feel like I'm the wrong kind of person for OnlyFans. And I just feel like my best OnlyFans years are probably behind me now. I was watching this video where you talk about your kind of daily ritual with content creating. Do you still what's your kind of average day or week like? Just for people that are thinking, oh God, could I do this full time? Is it possible? What would that schedule look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a complete mess. I'm not gonna sit here and like act like I'm a professional. I definitely just like I get up, I read comments, something makes me angry, or I see something that like enlights like a spark in me, and I'm like, I need to say something about this. And it's honestly a lot of my videos are really just in the moment, especially lately. And it's just when I feel like I have something to say, I go into TikTok, I tap create a video, and I just say how I feel, and then I edit it and I post it. Um, and yeah, in terms of OF, like I said, I have a schedule for that. I usually post every like 4 to 5 days. But in terms of content creation, there really is no schedule for me. I wake up, I'll go on social media, read what people are saying, which is kind of toxic. You know, I go back and forth between whether or not I want to read comments. But a lot of the times reading comments and like getting upset is what inspires me to make some of my best content. So it's kind of like a catch 22. But yeah, once I'm done making my videos and I do some OF content, which I've already described, I'll edit that OF content that people don't even understand. Like honestly, the quickest part of OnlyFans is just filming it. The part that takes the most amount of time is editing. So that takes me a couple hours. And then yeah, sometimes I'll do like Instagram pictures or an Instagram post if I haven't done a reel. Um, and yeah, that's my day to day with social media. When I'm done social media stuff, I usually spend a lot of my days like cleaning around the apartment. Or at the moment, I've been doing a lot of house hunting just because we've been looking at houses to finally get out of here. So that's been something I've also been doing on the side in my day to day. But yeah, that's pretty much my routine as of lately.
Where are you living? What city? You said
I
that
live in
like you're like, I gotta
Orlando.
get out of New York City or
I got to get out of Orlando. I do not like Orlando at all.
oh no, what's wrong with Orlando? I have like a couple friends who live there.
It's just very touristy. The traffic is always super bad. I don't know. It's not even that it's that bad. It's just I'm from New England. I'm from Maine. I miss that area. I miss having seasons and it not just being
Oh,
warm all the
okay.
time.
You miss shoveling the
Um,
sidewalk. Okay.
yeah. And I miss my family too. A lot of my family is up in New England, so I haven't seen them in a long time.
You think you might come back, move up here?
Yeah, we've been house hunting in New Hampshire. So
Oh,
fingers crossed we find something
cute.
soon.
You're gonna have to get like a plaid, like frock, some boat shoes.
Yeah, definitely. It can be pretty brutal, especially in the winter, but we're hopefully gonna get something with the garage because I am done shoveling snow off my car. I never want to go back to that.
What was your family's reaction to your transition?
So honestly, it's kind of funny. I did a video where I said my dad's reaction and I think I deleted it because I didn't want it to get taken the wrong way. Because I think he meant this good-heartedly or in good faith. But he basically I was on the porch with him. I think he was smoking a cigarette and I told him that I was transgender. I believe my mom had already hinted to him that I was trans. Um, and then one thing he said to me that I'll never forget is I'd rather have a transgender daughter than a gay son any day of the week.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and I know that sounds
Wow.
messed up, but it honestly made me feel really
That's kind of
comforted
funny.
in that moment. Because it's how I felt too. I was like, God, that's not who I felt I was. I didn't want to be a feminine gay guy. That was the last thing I wanted to be because that's not who I felt I was. So it was funny. I almost kind of agreed with him. And then my mom, I believe I told her actually at a Chinese restaurant. I think we went and sat down and got food. I think I was telling her, oh, I want to tell you something, but I can't tell you what it is. And she could tell I was nervous. So she took us out to eat. We sat down in a booth and I think I just kind of spat it out. And she
You're
got
like,
me a
something
therapist.
Wong. You're like, that's what I'm gonna order now.
I really was just I think I just said, oh, I think I'm transgender. I want to talk to a therapist and talk about how I feel. And my mom, I think, had a much harder time with it than my dad did, which was unexpected for me. But of course, my mom eventually came around. I have a great relationship with almost everyone in my family. But it was just very funny to me that everyone told me the two people in my family who would have the hardest time accepting me was my dad and my grandfather. And those two people were probably the most accepting out of everyone, at least in the beginning. So you never judge someone, if you don't really know them well, because like they didn't know them at all. And they were so sweet to me the entire time. So
Wow.
yeah.
Did they have opinions on like what you should or shouldn't do surgery wise? Did they care or
Um, they never really gave me an opinion on that. They never made it their business, which I appreciate. No one really ever made comments to me about surgery. I mean, they would ask me like what I was planning on doing, and I'm an open book, So like I would always be like, "Oh, I want to get my boobs done. I want to have SRS surgery. I want to get FFS." Um, and yeah, I would tell them, but no one ever like pressured me or was like, "You need to do this or that."
what's SRS?
So it's sexual reassignment surgery. It's
Oh,
basically penis to vagina
I
surgery.
should
I
have
had
known that.
that last April, so almost a year ago.
What? Okay, as much as you can discuss, like, what is that like? Like, what is the process for that
You know
like?
what? Everyone always tells me I'm crazy, but honestly, like one of my breast augmentations was so much harder of a recovery than SRS was. Because it was kind of a breeze for me. I remember when they let me out of the hospital on day 5, because you have to stay there for 5 days without moving too much. I was told, oh, move as much as you can, but you probably won't be able to move a lot. But the more you do, the better for like blood flow. There was like a movie theater that was like 30 minutes from our hotel. And like Zach and I would just, day after getting out of the hospital, walk all the way there and back without getting an Uber. And I was perfectly fine. And when I first woke up from surgery on those 5 days, you're on so many pain meds, you can't feel a thing. Like I really was not in any pain at all. The only time I felt an excruciating amount of pain during that whole surgery was when they had to remove my catheter on day 5 before leaving the hospital. It was like I don't even know where it was. It was like somewhere near my stomach, but when they pulled that out, it hurt really badly.
Whoa, okay. What was I guess, like, the therapy or the consultation process like? So you're trans for what, like, couple of years, and then at what point do you decide, like, "I'm gonna get the surgery there"?
So I always knew I wanted the surgery. That was like number one priority to me. I actually remember, if I'm remembering right, when I first started TikTok, I would go live, and this was before I did OnlyFans, and I was actually accepting donations because I wanted to get to $4,000 because my insurance covered the surgery up to that amount. I think the original surgery was something like $100,000, something like that. So I actually was raising money to be able to afford the surgery. So this was like the very first thing I wanted to do, which I know sounds weird because a lot of trans people have that be the last thing they do. I wanted to do this before I even had my boobs done. But then things with OnlyFans started and I started making a lot more money. And of course, when you want to get the surgery, they put you on a huge wait list. So even when I got the money, I still had to wait, I think like 2 years or a little
Oh,
under two
wow.
years to be able to get SRS surgery. So when I started making a decent amount of money, I was like, well, I might as well get my boobs done first while I'm waiting. So I got them done. I recovered from that. And then eventually the day for the surgery came. We flew out to New York and I had it done. But it definitely was like a long process. I had to be through at least like a couple of years of therapy. I had to have letters from 2 different therapists and 1 psychiatrist. Um, a recommendation, and then I had to go on that full long waiting list. And I've heard that it's not even that the waiting list itself actually is that long, but they want to make sure you consistently want this so you don't like cancel the appointment. So they actually just want you to like say you want it for an extended period of time just to make sure. So it's definitely not an easy surgery to get. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through.
Okay. What do you think of certain states basically making it illegal to get gender affirming, like care surgeries, like whatever they call it?
I actually thought that was only for minors. Are there states that are making it illegal for adults?
No, I think it's just for minors at this
So in
point.
terms of for minors, it's a tough one because they're forcing kids to detransition that have already started their transition, and at that point I'm like, a lot of the damage is already done. So I almost feel like if a child was already on HRT for like a year plus, maybe they should be like grandfathered in like they did with the
Mm,
cigarette laws. Just because I mean, taking
okay.
a child off hormones after they've already done it for so long would kind of, I don't know if that would have a great effect on them mentally either.
Wow.
But I think in terms of like for the future, in terms of those laws, I agree with them. I don't think minors should have any access to hormone replacement therapy. Anyone can wait till they're 18 and still have the ability to pass, even if you do it at that point. Like it's not a death sentence to wait till you're a legal adult to transition.
Right, because that's something they'll, like gender affirming therapists will say to parents that are hesitant. Oh, do you want like an alive son or dead daughter, or like vice versa? And it
Right.
seems like there's just a lot of bullying going on in this therapy and manipulative tactics, and especially considering like how much money folks are making off of this. It's just like,
Oh
ugh,
yeah, a ton.
it's pretty crazy. Where do you feel like you get the most hate from, or what video do you feel like you've got the biggest backlash from?
Honestly, probably my recent ones where I said that non-binary. Well, I guess the question actually depends because if it's Naomi's clip that she posted of me of what
Was
I
that the
said
girl
about
that looked like an
slavery,
owl? Like the really ugly chick with the huge beak? And she was
I
like,
don't want to make fun of anyone's
"Okay,
appearance,
I
but
will do that.
you
Leave it
might
to
be
me."
right. I honestly, you know what's so funny? She told me during that stream that I was delusional, and at the same time that when she walks out into society, everyone sees her as a biological woman. And I'm like, you're gonna call me delusional, but you think people see you as a biological woman because she just simply doesn't pass. Like that, if anything, that taught me how delusional she really is.
Yeah, no, that's and then you did a video responding to it. Is that on TikTok?
Yes, I do
Or is
believe
that
I left that one up. And I think I had a lot of great points in that video, but I got a ton of hate for that as well. But I definitely
which
got the
one?
most
Oh, it was
hate
this one.
after
Oh
she
my
posted
god.
that.
I
This
don't need you guys to
girl.
learn how to have
Yep,
an
she
actual
passes.
conversation
She'll
instead
I
of
tell
don't
you
know
she
saying,
passes
why
with flying
why don't you
colors.
actually bring some solid
I
points
don't
for
know why
why
a
you think
nose
a
job wasn't the
child
first thing
under
on
the
her
age of
list of
18 should be making
things
permanent
to do.
life-changing decisions? I'd be happy to. If the child was diagnosed with
Also, she's reading off a script. She's not That's what people love about you. Like I don't think you're reading off a script. Like you're totally off the cuff.
Never.
It's how you genuinely feel. Whereas everything this girl is saying, it's scripted and doesn't
pediatric
seem
cancer.
genuine. She picks and chooses whatever data backs up her claims, and
Correct.
it's just like typical leftist buffoonery. I don't know. You guys can watch that if you want. I watched it already and I was like,
It's like I don't think we need peer-reviewed studies to tell us we shouldn't be messing with children's natural puberty. Like I just think that's common sense, you know?
well, that's what she needs to justify her point of view. It's when you're right, you don't need a bunch of proof. Basically,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. Okay, so the backlash from that, was it from her directly, or is it more like fans of hers, or you just feel like overall kind of leftists being offended for the trans community?
I think I spent so long on the left side of TikTok that a lot of my own followers are probably the same as Naomi's followers. So a lot of them are starting to realize my more conservative beliefs that they weren't aware of before. So I think a lot of the hate uh, isn't really her fault. I mean, she did cause that to come my way with her video clips that she posted, but I really feel like people were going to be offended regardless, just because of the things I've been saying about the non-binary community. And I know a lot of my followers are non-binary. But I couldn't hold it in any longer. I think it's honestly a mix of everything, but I just think people don't like that I'm being honest now and speaking how I actually feel. which is fine. Like it's my own fault, I guess, to a degree, because I wasn't being honest. But I also felt censored at the same time. I felt like I would lose my entire platform. Nowadays, it seems like people are a little bit more on my side, and B, like TikTok isn't as willing to take down videos now. I don't know if they
Mm.
updated their community stuff, or like who's reviewing videos that get reported, but it seems like I haven't been getting stuff taken down as much like I used to be, which is why I felt more comfortable now, like posting more and more videos every day saying how I feel, because I was like, well, the last ones were fine. And I think the key, honestly, to not being censored on TikTok is not having your opinion be seen as hate speech. And I think the best
Mhm.
way to do that is not being angry. You need to be able to give your
Wow.
opinion in a way that's like calm and respectful. And I also call it out for it sometimes at the end of the video too. I'm like, so is me saying this opinion considered hate speech, or am I allowed to say this? And then a lot of times when I say that, it makes people realize, oh, I probably shouldn't report this video, because if I do, I'm censoring someone to the point where I'm saying, you can't have an opinion on this, and then you're going to be out of the group. That's a cult mentality to me. So I would
It
hope people wouldn't want a cult mentality, right?
Yeah, it is, and I have to even, like, watch myself that I don't become what I hate about people on the left, and that's why it's, like, even, like, before this stream, like, we're getting, like, negative comments on Twitter, and it's just, like, I'm, like, going back and forth, and it's, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I talking to a crumb with 11 followers? Like, you
Right.
like, it's just but we all get triggered every once in a while, and I think a lot of people get triggered, like, they see me as a certain way, and then when I interview somebody or I express opinion that is not like perfectly in a box with like you're this perfect conservative or you're this perfect Republican or like whatever box they want to put you in, and then you say or do something outside of that, and it's like, oh, am I kicked out of the club now? Am I no longer doing any good? I think we all have to watch ourselves to not do that, because you're gonna get pretty lonely if you start kicking out everybody who doesn't agree with 100% of the things you think and feel.
Yeah, and they're going to make the other side stronger while they're at it.
What percentage of your followers do you feel like are non-binary or trans?
I would be totally guessing, because I literally have never looked. Um, but I would guess probably like 30%. I wouldn't say it's like extremely high, because I mean non-binary people and trans people still make up a small portion of the population. But yeah, I guess I would say like 35%.
Do you feel like more of the virtue signaling comes from non-binary folks rather than just trans people?
100%. I can't
Mm.
I've literally been making it a game where every time I see a hate comment on my video, I'll like click the profile and be like, it's gonna come up with a they them, or like a Zer pronouns, or like they/she. And I swear to God, it never fails every time.
Why do you think that is?
Because non-binary people are just people that want to be offended. They're people that aren't really trans, that are taking a label because they have nothing else in their lives, and they're like, "Oh, I want to change my pronouns so I can call myself transgender." You're not trans. Like I hate the entire concept of non-binary, because it truly just feels like a slap in the face to me and everything that my transition stood for. Like I worked so hard to get to this point in my transition, and I still don't feel like I'm good enough. I still feel like I'm working my way up to like a perfect transition, and you're going to have people here like saying they're the same thing as me because they said, "Oh, my pronouns are they them now." But I'm going to just be exactly the same. Maybe I'll like throw on a flannel or something, or some gender neutral clothing, and that'll make me trans. No, you're
It's
you're
so
not the same
non-committal. That's
thing.
how I feel when people call themselves comedians and they after going to a couple open mics. I'm like, well,
Yeah. It's so, and the worst part is when I start getting called transphobic by these people for my opinions. Someone who's actually made a transition, is getting called transphobic by the people that don't do shit, that just want to say they're trans and change a pronoun. It's actually crazy at this point, and people agree with this ideology that like these but non-binary people are just as trans as I am. Not that it's a competition, because I don't think there is a competition, because they're not trans at all.
yeah, I don't think transphobes like I don't know really exist. I think it's just an insult that gets thrown around when these types of people can't bully others into agreeing with them. I think it's just like they're power hungry. They want to be right. haven't been humbled enough in their life. I don't know. And like when you're talking before describing non-binary people, I'm like, these just sound like Karens who don't want to be called Karens. Like they just want to feel
Yeah,
important.
exactly. It's like I don't understand why someone would even want this label to begin with, because it's not a fun label to have. I don't know why it's become like a trend, because this isn't like a fun lifestyle.
Well, if you're non-binary, you can have the label, but you don't have to go through the anguish of surgeries. You don't have to really come out to anybody. You just like change your profile. You don't have to call your parents, you don't have to even dress differently. I think it's probably the easiest one to do.
Yeah, to me, it's the perfect way to know that like this is someone I don't want to associate with. If like someone identifies as non-binary, I wouldn't go out of my way to misgender them, but I also wouldn't go out of my way to even use their pronoun either. I probably would just be like, okay, if I had to call them something, I'd probably call them by their name and then try not to talk to them as much as possible, because
Mhm.
I don't know. To me, it really feels like it's mocking everything I stand for.
Yeah, it's like they just I want to be special too, but I don't want to cut anything off just just yet or whatever. Uh you mentioned the idea of a perfect transition before. What would that look like to you?
I mean, honestly, to me, at this point, I feel like the final piece to my transition would be facial feminization surgery. It's just that I don't know if I want to get it done, because I've just seen kind of iffy results.
You mean Dylan
So
Mulvaney?
I I don't want to get into like specific, but
I'll get specific. I don't know. I think Dylan looks the same, but now there's just like a tighter face.
it's I mean, it's hard for me to talk shit about Dylan Mulvaney, because they've always been very nice to me, and they've always been very supportive. But it's tough, because ever since I saw the video that they collaborated with Jeffrey Marsh and supported that, and I will say that predator, I
For real.
don't. It's hard for me to support Dylan's content, because have you seen the clip of Jeffrey Marsh telling children to privately message him on like his whatever is it? It's not OF, it's
Ew.
Patreon. And he's like, yeah, so we can talk more privately about transition.
Ew, what a predator. Every other video I see, of him, has to do with, "Oh, like, you need to go no contact," and I just laugh because I'm like, "These are kids, they don't have jobs. You can't go no contact with the person whose house you live in, whose food you eat. They're paying for your cell phone, they're paying for you to go to school and everything else, paying for the clothes on your back. Oh, but I'm gonna go no contact. Yeah, let me go no contact until it's dinner." And then I'll be downstairs, mom. It's ridiculous. It's
No,
comical.
Jeffrey's gonna take him in. Jeffrey's got plenty
Ugh.
of room at his house.
Has Jeffrey offered that? Like, come to my house.
No, I'm totally joking on that. But it wouldn't surprise me with all the creepy shit he said.
It's so gross. Wow. Yeah, I think Dylan is kind of like I can see the part of okay, the fun, campy. This is clearly a Broadway performer. This could all just be a big troll, but like love Dylan or hate Dylan, whatever. Clearly, like maybe he's like a professional troll or something. But when I saw the video with Jeffrey, and I was like, ugh, I was like, wow, this is what you're gonna align yourself with. Okay, it kind of puts you in a different category for me.
Well, like the thing is, I kind of used to think what you thought, like, oh, this might have been like a performance, but then Dylan got FFS surgery, so I'm like, would someone that was putting on a performance really undergo facial surgery? Like, I mean, I don't know. People have done crazier things, but like, I wonder if someone would really go under that for money and sponsorships.
I think Dylan would. Everything that I've seen about this, it was a person who was dying to be famous, like acting, and then there's the argument of was Dylan groomed? Like that's a whole nother subject. But everything I've seen, I'm like, this is a person who would do anything to be famous, and like for all I know, Dylan still has their equipment, so you could just go
Mhm.
back to being a dude with like a tighter face.
Yeah.
Like I'll joke sometimes like you got to be all in, give up your cock, but it is kind of interesting. I wouldn't put it past. Like look at someone like I feel like someone like Greta Thunberg is totally manipulated to preach a certain point, to run with a certain narrative. So I think it's possible somebody would get surgery to be like, hey, get this facial feminization surgery. You will be a millionaire. You'll be set for life. You'll have 10 plus endorsements, like sponsorship deals.
Yeah.
You'll be super, super famous. I think a lot of people would sign up for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I could see it. It's tough, like when someone has always just been very supportive of you, but you also feel like you're seeing a dark side of them. Um, and I do feel like I've seen like a dark side of Dylan. Like I feel like I'm seeing through the character now and how a
Mm.
lot of the videos do feel like a performance. Because at first I was like, I do this. Like I'm all like fake happy for TikTok videos sometimes, or at least I used to be on my old content. But I don't know, lately, especially with every video being like this same fake personality, I just feel like we've never seen a genuine person since
Hmm.
the transition. And I would love to
Wow.
just if this person genuinely is transgender, I wish that they would just show us the real side of them. Like talk like a normal person. Don't be putting on a show for once. Like I think that'd be really interesting to see.
That's a really good point. I think that's why so many people love you and your content, because you're never like really pretending. You're very genuine and authentic, and that comes across. People can tell. With Dylan, everything is like Dylan's like a cartoon. It's like you don't know who is there a person under there, or you're just trying to like sell Bud Light. You were
Yeah.
saying you're seeing a darker side of Dylan. Is this since the facial feminization surgery, or was it before that? And what were you seeing that makes you think Dylan has kind of like a dark side that's coming out?
Honestly, I don't know if you've seen the Jeffrey Marsh video that he did with Dylan. They did like a collab video that's been kind of going viral on Twitter, but it was a TikTok that's from like almost a year ago, so it is old
Oh, the
news.
one about like who's gatekeeping? Who's the people that are letting
Yeah,
people into girlhood?
like
Yeah, so
woman,
that
and
one.
then it was especially creepy when Jeffrey was like, "Womanhood or girlhood is like exciting to me. Like I get excitement out of that." I was like, "What does that
Why?
mean?"
What
And
is
then Dylan
exciting
was like
about that?
agreeing with him. I was like, "What?" But like once I saw that video, I decided to take a deeper dive into Dylan's content because I'm a mutual. So like I can see, friends only videos as well. And not to like expose anything, but I did see a video on friends only that was kind of, I don't know if it was like right before the transition or right after, around that area, where Dylan was basically on a car, like saying, I just got this new car, and was like flashing like the camera on purpose of like his bulging underwear. And I don't know, to me, I'm like, if you're actually transgender, would you be wanting to show off your bulge?
Hmm.
And I wasn't going to post it, but I do have it screen recorded just so I can make that statement without anyone telling me I'm a liar. But I also, I scrolled back even further to before like the day one of being a girl, day two. He was doing, or I'm sorry, I'm going to respect pronouns. They were doing something that, I'm not going to say he or she just because I don't want to do either or. So I'm just going to say they, but, they did a video where they got their estrogen for the first time. And it was like, oh, it's non-binary day of the day or
Hmm.
something like that. And it was like a very similar style to like, oh, day da 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 being a girl. And it just made me realize, oh, this person has been trying different styles of like, ear catching phrases that are going to like piss people off and get attention. This clearly is someone that did want to be famous, that did want attention for their transition. Um, so I don't know, when there's a million videos being like day of the day, and then we have one video where it's day one of being a girl and it's like blown up a shit ton. I don't know,
Wow.
there's a pattern there clearly that this person loves attention and they want to be known for their transition.
Yeah, like just digging around, seeing what sticks. That's a really good observation.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the kind of person that would go through surgeries or literally do anything to be famous.
Yeah,
Because now
I could
Dylan
see
is
it.
globally famous. I mean, I hope I hope Dylan's in it for the right reasons. What a funny thing to say. Thanks for the super chat, Frank. If the LGBT community says gender is non-binary and fluid, that two genders don't exist, would that mean that bisexuality doesn't actually exist to them?
That's a good question because I feel like people that say there aren't two genders, wouldn't they be like bisexuality is offensive now?
Right. Wouldn't they just say you're sexual?
Yeah. And I mean, I think their goal is to create not only a genderless society, but like a society where everyone's sexuality is fluid, which is just crazy. Like no one wants that.
Yeah,
Um,
it sounds like something out of Brave New World, and I think that's part of why Dylan is so popular is because Dylan is selling androgyny. I think that's why Dylan hasn't gotten boobs yet, or I don't know. Have they? What kind of surgery is going on down there? I don't know that Dylan is open about that. I feel like Dylan probably still has the equipment that
no,
if they were
they still
born
have
with.
it. Yeah.
So I just think Dylan's trying to sell androgyny, like that the flat look, the sort of like you could go either way. Who knows what you're into?
Right. I don't understand why Dylan didn't get laser done before facial feminization surgery. Like you have all this money, all these sponsorships and followers. Why wouldn't like most doctors recommend you get your entire face lasered before having that surgery?
Yes, he
So
had
why
Dylan had a 5 o'clock shadow in the Bud Light thing in the bathtub. That's why I was like, I tweeted, I'm like,
yes.
oh, Bud Light, it's 5 o'clock shadow somewhere. Why wouldn't that be priority number one? I don't
Like I
know.
don't understand like why like that was clearly there's a choice being made to not get laser, clearly. And it's like
Which
why?
which is why I think Dylan wants to look like both or neither.
Which,
Because I
if
think
anything, that's not trans then, you know? Like what is that? That's a mental health disorder to me at that point because why are you trying to look like something in between? That's not normal.
yeah, which is why it's like the focus on girlhood and not womanhood, because womanhood is like, yeah, that's boobs, that's bills. Like people associate womanhood, like that's when shit gets real. Girlhood is like, I'm a kid forever.
Yeah, which I mean, funny enough, that is how Dylan acts in a lot of their videos, is like a kid.
For sure. Wally World, thanks for the super chat. Kelly, thoughts on trans women competing against women? For example, Leah Thomas, Riley Gaines situation.
I think it's insane that we're even having like this debate or that it's even a discussion. Like trans people should not be in competitive sports at all. Like even someone like Jazz Jennings, who transitioned, I think, as young as like 6 or 7, we cannot guarantee that they wouldn't have an advantage over like biological women when it comes to like competitive sports. So to me, I feel like if you're going to transition, you need to sacrifice like sports. I mean, if it's not competitive and the other team and is okay with you playing, I don't see the harm in that as long as it's not like a super rough sport. But in terms of like the Olympics or any like big contest or like even schools competing against each other, I really just feel like it's not fair. And I don't see a point of creating a transgender league. I know some people bring that point up. It just seems so pointless because A, there's not that many of us to begin with. And B, like how many of us really want to play sports, you know, especially trans women? Um, it seems like a lot of times the people who are doing this, who are already in sports, are men who just want to, who can't like get to the top of the leaderboard in the men's category. So they switch to the female team so they can get the record. I don't think that's right. But yeah, it's just weird because, you know, I think most trans women are hyper femme anyways. Why would they even want to be in sports most of the time? But yeah, like I said, I think it should be a sacrifice. I think if you're going to transition, you shouldn't be in sports.
Yeah, I think I agree. And you never see like trans men, right? Like that's how that to me signals, yeah, you're taking advantage of a biological advantage there to kick biological women's butts. And we don't see it really working the other way around. So
But honestly, can I just say, even for transgender men, if I don't know if it's fair for them to be competing, you know, on like another team, because if they know they're trans and they nowadays you don't even have to try to pass to be considered trans, that could make the other team feel uncomfortable and not want to go as hard, you know,
mm,
because they don't want to like hurt anybody. So I don't even think it's fair either way, trans women or trans men.
yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. It just seems like I feel like transitioning is a huge commitment and like time, money, and so is pursuing a sport competitively. I I mean, I was a Division 1 diver in college. I definitely wouldn't have had time. Like I just feel like there's only
Yeah.
so many hours in the day. You're either gonna transition or you're gonna practice. I should be a coach. Okay. Let's see. I think I covered. Yeah, any other we talked about the TikToks that have gotten you in the most trouble, the one in the car. I think that was the first one I saw of you, the one that's got like almost 4 million views. That might have been the first one, the first video of yours that I saw. Did somebody like did you get wrapped up in something where people thought you were racist? Some bullshit of it, like was it a video that you
Yeah.
did or
So I did a debate with a creator called Naomi, and there was a point where everyone is saying I brought up slavery, but I actually rewatched the debate. She was the one that brought up slavery to me. And I definitely said something I shouldn't have said. I said that some black people probably enjoyed being slaves. I shouldn't have said that. I totally regret it.
It sounds like a joke
And then
premise.
people got mad at me because in my apology, I stated, oh, what I should have said during the debate was comfortable. But then immediately after saying that in that apology, I was like, but I truly shouldn't have said anything at all because the debate wasn't even about slavery. And I don't do a lot of research on that. I'm only researching trans stuff, especially right before that debate. So the fact that I even commented on it was completely inappropriate and, according to a lot of people, inaccurate. I have had some people send me articles that would give me some more context on back in the day, but even after reading those, I still don't think what I said is accurate. I don't think anyone was even really comfortable being a slave. I do regret that, and I will apologize, but it's tough because even after I apologize and I've made so many videos saying the same things, it just constantly gets re-brought up and it feels like they're never going to let
Ugh.
it go. But no, I'm not a racist person. I yeah, and if someone wants to believe I am because of that clip and because of something I said, they have every right to feel that way. But I know in my heart and soul who I am. I never treat anyone different. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. You're
it is
clearly
what it
not
is.
racist. You're a young person. Like you can't spend so much of your life online and not have the occasional misstep and the occasional like say the occasional thing that you don't actually believe or you said it wrong. It's like we do need to cut each other a little bit more slack. And not just comedians, but like just people who say shit they realize they didn't mean at the time or said it in the wrong way. Everyone's so quick to cancel somebody because deep down they're jealous of them or jealous of their success or have a crush on them or whatever. It's just I'm so tired of it. And yeah, I feel like if you were a slave, what would be the one upside? You don't have to worry about paying rent every month.
I don't want to. I don't want to comment on anything about
I know.
slavery.
I'm just
I'm just
kidding.
done with this topic.
I'm not trying to like
I
bring
have
you back
no
into it.
comment.
I'm trying to de-escalate. I just don't think people should be giving you shit, but
I do think it's ironic that or I think I shouldn't say ironic, but I do think it's interesting that so much of that hate is still coming after or right before I said what I said about non-binary people. I do
Mhm.
think people are hopping a lot more on what I said and wanting to take a lot of it out of context because of my views on the LGBT community and because I've come out as more conservative lately. So I think people are more willing to hate and they want to believe that I'm racist because they just
Of
want a reason to cancel
course.
me.
Of course.
So,
It's cray. It's cray, but you're a tough cookie, and I think your message is really important, and I think you're super brave for the videos that you put out. Your work ethic is great. You're hot. You're the full package, Kelly. Where can people follow you? What's coming up? What are your future goals? All that stuff.
yeah, I mean all my socials are Kelly_Cadigan. In terms of like the future and like my goals, honestly, I just want to keep preaching my message and uh, honestly expressing my beliefs, my conservative beliefs as a trans woman, because I just feel like that's not something that really is expressed that much. I find a lot of my mutuals on TikTok agree with a lot of the things I say, but they're afraid to speak up on their own platforms because they don't want to get backlash or be canceled. So from now on, I feel like I'm taking my career in the direction of expressing how I feel and how a lot of people like me feel and taking the heat for it because it seems like a lot of other people are scared too. So that's the direction for the future for me.
What would you say to people who say you can't be a conservative if you're trans?
I'd say that you're following the cult, the LGBT cult, because you certainly can believe whatever you want. I had my own personal thoughts before things got like woke and cultish when I grew up watching Blair White and I identified as trans. I just thought everything she said made sense. And then I felt like I got indoctrinated into the cult and started believing things I didn't believe. And I truly feel like a lot of trans people would be conservative if they weren't just fed a lot of this misinformation or told that they're transphobic against their own community if they don't believe certain things. It's just not true. And I I want to break that stigma and that stereotype, because I think you can believe in whatever you want, regardless of who you are. And this, especially when things are getting as crazy as they are in the LGBT community with minors and allowing kids to go on hormones and get surgeries, we need to start speaking up, because it's not okay. So I don't know. To me, you can be conservative and trans. It just means that you're sane, unlike a lot of trans people nowadays. So join the sane side of the trans community, become a conservative, and stand up against child abuse.
That should be a t-shirt. Kelly, thank you so much for coming on. You're an absolute delight. Everybody follow Kelly on her Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Everything is at Kelly_Cadigan, not Cardigan, Cadigan. Thank you to the chat for your comments and questions, and we will see you next time.